and what they were trying to, I call it peer pressure. Go out with him again. He's a nice guy. And the one guy says to me, my friend, he's silly, like Natalie. He goes, Joe, he's German. Maybe he has a big penis. I was like, this peer pressure is getting out of hand.
Okay, so let me just real quick. So, thank you for doing an interview with Asian Info Channel 1 today. We wanted to thank you for taking your time out today and meeting with us and letting me interview you and your wonderful shop here in Blueport in Hua Hin, Thailand.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me and welcome to my shop.
So, as we've just been discussing, I have been following your story for at least it seems like the past year. Okay, so tell me a little bit about who you are before Thailand.
Well, let's go way back to America, where I'm from.
Okay.
I'm originally from a small country town called Sturgeon in Missouri. And then I went to university in Columbia, Missouri. You might know the University of Missouri. It's quite famous there. And then I went to Stevens College, which is it's a girls' finishing school. It was. And then I got a scholarship to go to Stevens, and I was very proud of that because they're not known for accepting a lot of people. And so I was a Stevens girl, so you can Google that, you'll know all about that. And then while I was there, after I graduated, I moved to Miami, not Miami, but South Florida, Naples to be exact. And while I was in Naples, I opened a Chinese retail store that have Chinese clothing and kind of like a Chinese superstore.
Okay.
And I started in Miami Mall, Fort Myers Mall, and then I had one in Sawgrass Mills Mall, and then I had one in Naples Mall. So I had three stores in the malls in three different cities. What happened is there was a big hurricane. I don't know if you guys remember Katrina. Well, when Katrina hit Louisiana, Florida also got banged with a lot of hurricanes that people don't talk about because Katrina was so bad. Mm-hmm. And at that time, nobody was going to malls and nobody wanted to buy Chinese stuff. So I had to shut down my shops and I moved back home to Missouri because that time my kids were finishing high school. So I wanted them to be in a small town.
How many children do you have?
I have two children. I have a son that is now 37, and I have a daughter that is 33. She'll be 34 in June.
I'm sorry, I have to ask this. How old are you?
I will be 56 in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And I have three grandchildren.
What?
I have a grandson that is 13, and so he tells me he's a teenager now. And I have another grandson that is 11, and a granddaughter that's 11.
And they're
all in the States. My daughter is in Omaha, Nebraska, and my son is in Davenport, Iowa.
Okay, so my next question is, how did you wind up in Thailand?
Well, first I need to tell you. First, I need to tell you that I left America after all of that and moved to China.
Okay.
And when I moved to China, I decided to move to China in a week. I was tired of, at that time it was a housing market crash.
I remember.
And things were really tough and really bad, and I said I need to just get out of America for a year and then come back and reset. Well, a year ended up being 14 years.
Now, had you been a traveler
No.
before that? So you just straight up left the United States, went to a place. Did you speak Chinese?
No.
Okay, so you didn't speak Chinese. Did you know anybody?
No.
And this was 14 years ago. So translators, Google.
More than 14, because I've been here for 4 years. So it was almost 20 years ago.
So you didn't have the advent of Google. You didn't have translate.
Google was blocked, of course. China is blocked. Their internet is blocked.
But to get my general idea.
And because all I did is looked online, and I said, well, I always wanted to visit China because I've been fascinated with Asian culture since I was a kid. So I've always wanted to visit China, and I thought, well, this is a chance. Why not just go? And so I looked online for some way to get to China because I wasn't rich by far. And I said, how can I get to China? And then I saw that you can go to China at that time. Just go to China and teach. And you didn't have to have any experience. You just needed a TEFL or a TOEFL certificate. So I looked up on, I think it was AOL. I looked up how to get a TESOL certificate, and you could do it online. So I did it online in 3 days.
How old were your children at this time?
My son was already out of high school, and my daughter had just graduated.
Wow.
And I talked to them. I know everybody gave me a hard time about my kids, but my kids were adults.
Yeah.
And my kids, I asked them, how do you guys feel about me going to China? And then my kids were like, well, Mom, you do you. They're like, we got our own stuff going on.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so now you told me you got to China.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens between China and Thailand? How does that happen?
Well, first of all, the odd thing is when I got to China, I was supposed to be in Hangzhou. That was where they were supposed to place me. This is where they hired me as an English teacher in Hangzhou. But when I got to Hangzhou, they told me there's been a change because the lady that hired me spoke English. She said there's been a change, and we're going to send you to Yuyao, which is a very small city. But don't worry, they didn't expect a black person, but don't worry, you'll be fine. So I said, you're going to send me to a racist school? They go, yeah, but once they meet you, it'll be okay. I was like, okay, like I have a
and
choice.
This is 20 years ago.
Right. Like I have a choice, though. I'm already here,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave me the job. What am I going to do? And I used my last money to buy the tickets to get there.
Wow.
So I said, okay. I'm from a small Missouri town. I think I can handle racism. You learn. And so, but when I got there, at first they were a little standoffish, but then once they realized that my pronunciation was clear and that I was bright and that I had a personality that they liked, I ended up being the head of their foreign teacher department.
Wow. And so you're running a business.
Well, first I was a teacher.
Okay.
But I didn't teach children, I taught adults. Okay, I taught adults. And because I was older and I was like, I don't have the patience to teach kids. So I taught adults, but the adults that came in there were business people.
Right.
They owned factories, they owned companies, they owned this. And in China, it's different. They treat you with a lot of respect when you're a teacher. A lot of respect. Better than I can say in our own country. But they also invite you to dinner. They invite you to come see their business, whatever. And that's when my business mind started swirling, going, I started asking questions. How can I get this? How can I do this? And how can I partner with people? And so the first thing I did was partner with someone with a factory that made clothes.
Okay.
She was one of my students. She had a clothing factory, and she had asked me many times to help her. What do foreigners like? What kind of clothes they should make? And I got to come to her factory and tell her my ideas. And we still are friends till today, if you can see my shop.
Wow. Oh, so this is just the I guess the culmination of your life's work.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happened?
After that, I did an online shop with clothing, and still taught.
Now, is this pre-Amazon?
This was pre-Amazon.
Okay.
And I only sold to foreigners in China because I got bigger sizes.
Oh.
That was my niche. I had bigger sizes because clothes were so small in China.
Still are.
And she sells abroad, so of course her sizes are going to be bigger. Then someone asked me, Joe, would you partner with me in an English school? And I thought, I've been the head of the English department for a long time. Sure. Why not give up being a teacher and own the school? Of course. Right. You don't have to threaten me with a good time. So I joined with her. I moved to another city, we opened the school together, we designed it, whatever, and had classes, but we taught not only English, but also French, Spanish, Chinese, all Russian. And what I did was I recruited teachers that were speak that language and taught that language, and they taught the classes. So we did that for a while, and then we ended up stopping that school because it was a little imbalanced, and she was a housewife that had a lot of money, and she didn't really help a lot.
So are you single during this time?
I'm single the whole time.
Now, now we had kind of talked about colorism and racism. Did you feel accepted? Did anybody try to date you during this period?
I've been married to Chinese men twice.
Oh.
So I was very accepted. More than I should have been. It was like a buffet. So no, I didn't have a problem with colorism or racism, but I wasn't as dark as some people. And some people think that's why I didn't have. I'm not as dark as some. And because I do have friends and colleagues that did have issues with racism, that some students didn't want to take their class.
Yeah.
And things like that, but I never experienced that.
Well, you get the assumption, China being such a closed society, especially 20 years ago, that, there might have been...
No, not with me. I didn't experience racism until after COVID.
Okay, so let's jump up to COVID. COVID happened.
I was in China during COVID. Mm-hmm. I was in lockdown for 3 months.
Tell me about lockdown in China.
Oh, lockdown in China. You are literally locked with a padlock into your building. And once a week, you are allowed to call for food on your phone, and they will drop it off on a big table outside the building. And then on that day, the building is unlocked, and you come down, pick up your food, and of course with your mask, pick up your food and take it back up. Okay? And you also have on your phone a QR code, and this QR code has different colors. If it's green, that means you're safe. If it's yellow, that means you need to take your COVID test. And if it's red, you get quarantined. If you do not take a COVID test every week, your code will change and you cannot go anywhere. Yes. So I was watching the news where people in America were buying toilet paper and all this stuff and bullets and all that. We were like, no, please, you guys don't even know how locked down it was.
Now, what about information happening inside China? Because, in the United States, we got people were dropping dead. They were locking people in their buildings. That there were drones flying over.
Well, first of all, there was no damn drones. And it's nothing like that. We were locked. If one person in your building got COVID, then they locked down the whole building. Because you don't know who else in the building had COVID. But you get tested. But they were very efficient. Very efficient. Yes, we had to get tested every week. And when at one time they were testing every day. But you had to get tested every week. But it was so like machinery. You go in, sign the paper, click, go here, stop, go here, this, there, and you're out. And your thing will change.
See, that's so interesting what we were propagandized with in the United States as to what your personal experience was. Because we're seeing people locked in their houses. We are seeing drones fly. This dystopian kind of, when you told me you were in China during this, I was like, oh my God.
They're like, what did you do the whole time? Well, I watched Netflix. I did some artwork. I talked to people on the phone.
Okay, so from China to Thailand, how is this?
So after COVID, things got a little rough because there was a lot of negativity coming from the States to China, from other countries. A lot of people were bagging on them, okay? And China just kind of got fed up. It's like, you know what, let's just get them all out. Let's just scatter them out. So after my school, I owned a restaurant bar. And after that, it closed because of COVID, just like most bars and stuff closed at COVID time. But they wouldn't renew my visa, and they gave me an ultimatum that I had to be out in a week. But there was nowhere to go because everything was closed. It was COVID, and China had COVID longer than anybody.
Right.
I mean, they locked down their country longer than anybody. Just a couple years ago, they just reopened. And so they told me I had to leave. And the only place that was open for me to go was Thailand. I had never been to Thailand. I had never actually wanted to go to Thailand. It wasn't even on my radar. But when I was looking for countries that I could go to, Thailand was the only one accepting foreigners or anybody. So I said, I will go there. Another thing in China, about the vaccine. In China, you had to take the vaccine. If you did not take the vaccine, you couldn't go to the grocery store. You couldn't take a cab. You couldn't do anything. There wasn't I'm not taking the vaccine. No, either take the vaccine or starve to death. It's up to you.
And you had met your husband in China before you moved here. Okay.
I met my husband. I had met my husband like 3 years before COVID, but we just started dating about maybe 6 months to a year before COVID hit.
So while COVID's happening, he's understanding that you've got to go.
Oh yeah, we were living together, so.
Okay, so both of you have the same ultimatum.
No. He
Just
didn't.
you.
Just me. Still works for a pharmaceutical company in Germany, a factory, the pharmaceutical, and he was on contract from Germany. You know me, I just had come there. It's totally different. I had to go. He had a contract. He didn't have anywhere to go. His visa was fine.
So
I came here and he stayed there because he had to finish his contract. So we were separated and did long distance relationship for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then when his contract ended, he came here to Thailand.
So when you picked Thailand, how'd you pick Wat Hin?
Well, first I went directly to Bangkok because that's where everybody goes.
As you do.
And when I was in Bangkok, first thing we noticed that it's expensive. You know, Thailand is cheaper than most countries, but Bangkok is a big city. Of course, it's going to be more expensive. And the second thing we noticed is just a lot.
Yeah.
Bangkok is a lot of everything. I mean, I was raised in Missouri, so that's a country, place. So Bangkok is like New York City times 2.
Right.
And it was a lot. And then my husband, when he came over, we stayed in Bangkok together for a month, and he was just like, he can't run here, he can't ride his bike, he can't do it's just too much. It just wasn't for us. Okay? And so I had made friends. I make friends easy.
Yeah, I can tell.
I had made friends in Bangkok, and they said, well, maybe you should try Hua Hin. It's a little slower pace. Maybe you would like it. So we were like, okay, why not? So we searched online for some place to go. And so we found Frangipani. We went there for a month, which is very nice. We went to the beach. It's very close to the beach. We walked to the beach, and we were sitting at one of the little beach restaurant places, and we looked around and we said, yeah, this is the place. And then 2 weeks later, my husband bought me a condo for my birthday.
Well, happy belated birthday.
And then he had to go back to Germany.
Okay.
Because he still worked for the German company.
So you're here in Thailand. He's back in Germany.
But for an American, we can go to Europe 90 days within a 180-day period. So I could go 90 days, come back Thailand 90 days, go back to Germany 90 days, like this. So that's what I did.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for only a year.
Yeah, but how many trips in that year?
There was a lot of trips. A lot of long trips.
Oh my God.
And Germany is cold.
Okay, so let me ask you about Germany. How was Germany when you date? You're obviously a beautiful caramel-colored black woman dating a Caucasian man. So how was that?
Very Caucasian.
How was that in Germany? How was that accepted?
First of all, we were not in Frankfurt, but we're near Frankfurt in the village where he was raised in. And his village, after I researched a lot about it and I looked at his pictures of his grandparents, all that, they were Amish. That was like, holy crap, you guys were Amish. And he's like, no, that was a long time ago. No, but in America, they're still there.
They're still there. Yeah.
And I go, and I grew up
Grew
around
up around
Amish,
it, yeah.
so I know. And he's like, really? So it was very uncomfortable. To me, I see Germany is a cold country. The weather is cold, and the people are cold. They're not really mean. They're just not so friendly and talkative and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I saw one lady, and she was a very pretty lady, and I was like, oh, your hair is beautiful. She goes, thank you. And then, you know, and as an American, we were like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult experience, and it was the first time I was meeting his family, his sister, and everything. And I was very nervous about that. And I told him before we went, I said, did you tell your sister about me? She goes, yeah, I told her you were from America. I go, yes, but did you tell her about me? And he goes, she'll figure it out. I was like, you can't do that to people. You can't just
spring it on.
Yeah, you gotta give them time to adjust. He's like, nah, that'll be all right. And then so when I went there, they planned a breakfast. They're big on breakfast in Germany, and they had like all kinds of sausages and cold cuts and breads and all jams and butters and all this stuff around. And they had a whole table of food, and everybody was there to greet me and have breakfast, which we had just got off the plane, so I was a little bit out of it, but I was like, okay, breakfast, that's special. And so they were all sitting, and they were kind of quiet because they don't speak English very well. Only his cousin spoke English, and his nieces speak English, but his sister just a little bit. And they were doing a lot of whispering, and I was just like, oh. And I thought, maybe I need to go to the bathroom and let them kind of talk while I'm not around. So I excused myself and went to the restroom. I tried to spend some time in there, you know. And then I came back out, and they were laughing. And then G, my husband's name is Gerald, and I call him G. And G, I told G, I go, what's going on? And he was laughing. He goes, he goes, they had a problem. And I go, with me? Was it because I'm black? And he goes, no, they thought you were really young. They thought I was in my 30s, and he's in his 60s, and they thought that I was like a gold digger kind of thing. And he goes, but I told him, don't worry, you're old too. I was like, oh, you didn't have to say it like that. And that's why they were laughing. So it wasn't that I was black, it's just they thought I was younger than I really was.
Now, granted, to look at him and to look at you, you do go, it looks like a spread.
Yeah, but it's
black
not.
Don't crack.
That's right. That's right. And we're only 7 years apart. Yeah, we're only 7 years.
Sorry, my eyes just rolled back in my head trying to make that register in my head.
And we're total opposites, so people find it kind of strange. He's very analytical and logical and quiet, and he's very direct, and he sees things German. He's very German. And I'm very, as he calls me, fluffy. I like art, I like music, I like fashion, and I'm like, oh, look at this latest dress, and he's just like, oh. And I like tarot cards and candle magic and all this other stuff, and he just looks at me sometimes like, what the hell?
So, how is your business doing while you're jumping back and forth from Thailand to Germany?
Okay, my shop has been open a year. I have a interior design business that I did first. So I opened the interior design business first. And with interior design, you take jobs you want to take. And I just took jobs that didn't take very long to do. You know, like just more like interior decorating kind of thing.
Now, did you have plans on maybe going to Germany and living?
Oh, heck no.
No,
that was never our plan.
Okay.
Never. He didn't want to be there, and I also didn't want to be there.
So.
And we didn't want to be in America either.
Okay, so he makes plans to come back to Thailand.
Yes.
And how long does that take?
It took a year and a half because he had to finish the projects, and then he had to retire. Germany has a weird retirement kind of situation that we don't have in the States. that he can stop working, but he still gets paid for a couple years, and then he officially retires.
Okay.
I don't understand. It's just a German kind of thing.
Okay, so I'm sure that a lot of our listeners have questions about documentation, how hard it is to work between several different countries. You're working in America, or you've got paperwork you're having to file in America, paperwork you're having to file in Germany, paperwork for both here in Thailand.
It's quite complicated. First of all, his taxes are filed differently than mine because he's a German citizen and they have totally different tax laws and totally different complicated things that they need to do. Okay, I'm on his taxes, but he does. We have an accountant that handles the German taxes. For my taxes in America, of course, America gets taxes first, and we have a treaty with Thailand, so there's no double tax. Okay, so I pay tax in Thailand because of my shop and my businesses. I have to pay tax. I pay sales tax and I pay social welfare for my employees. Okay, I have to pay that, and I'm all legal and I pay everybody on time and I pay my tax. I have a Thai accountant that handles all of that for me. So filing my taxes in the U.S., I don't have money in the U.S. that I'm earning. So I file my taxes, but it's like I'm below poverty in that area.
Got it.
And we have a way to do it because my husband makes a lot more money than I do. Everything goes under his big tax bracket, and he gets hit with taxes hard in Germany. So we are tax-wise, we have accountants that do all that for us because we have a lot of businesses. I mean, besides this shop, I have one big business corporation, and then I have my shop under it. I have my interior design. I have my art that I sell. And then my husband has a big corporation, and he has his construction company, and he has a trade company, like a trading investment company, and we have that all under different umbrellas and corporations, and we have our accountants to handle all of that, so we don't have to worry about it because it's all taken care of.
Okay, so you've been recently married.
Yes, I got married in November.
Oh, and now
2024.
Okay, so I want you to tell me about your wedding ceremony, the planning. Was it kind of a culture, thing? Because I know you did the jumping the broom, which is a really old Southern tradition.
Yes, so I had to throw that in there. Well, first of all, I tried to research what are the traditional things in Germany that they do at weddings because I've never been to a German wedding and I don't know what kind of things they do. And they're not as like ours. We've got all these traditions, but we're something old and new and borrowed and blue and all this. They don't have all that, but they do have some weird traditions like the big long saw where you have two hands and you both saw a log.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not sawing any log. And then they go, or we plant a tree. No, we're in Thailand. We're not going to go plant a tree somewhere on somebody else's property. No, I'm not getting dirty. That's not me. And then I was like, well, what else do you do? They go, well, we dance a waltz. And I go, dance a waltz? That's not really my style. I'm more of a salsa, merengue, Latin dance person. And my husband is tone deaf, so he can't dance anything. And so I go, I don't want to do a waltz. How about we do a salsa? And he's like, what's that? So we tried to. So what I compromised, and on our buffet we had some German food.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was like, that's the German part.
I saw the pictures. Absolutely beautiful.
I had two wedding planners. And we had it on the beach first, the ceremony part on the beach. And it was at the Marriott Resort Hotel here in Hua Hin, which is a very beautiful hotel. And we had some things that were a little non-traditional. One thing we had is when the groom comes in, everybody had white balloons. And then when he made it to the top, everybody released their balloons. So all the balloons went up into the air together, and the violinist was playing as the balloons. And everybody was looking up and seeing the balloons into the air. People were taking pictures. And then, while everybody's looking up, you hear the violinist change to tiptoe through the tulip, and people were like, "Why is it this song?" And I call it my flower boy, came out dressed in a pink short suit with sock suspenders and a ring of flowers and the flower sunglasses, throwing flowers to the yelling, "It should have been me. It could have been me." It was hilarious. So people were from a touching moment to a hilarious moment.
Oh,
And then
hilarious.
we wrote our own vows. So we didn't want a religious ceremony. We did not have a minister. We did not have a monk or anything like that. We just had actually it was a guy from the English school, a Thai guy from the English school to read what we told him to read. And then we wrote our own vows, but we didn't tell each other what our vows were going to be. So we had no idea what he was going to say. And my husband is a man of very few words, so I was like worried. What's he going to say? And the words I remember the most from the vows is what he said is, in traditional vows, it says, "We will marry you for good times and bad times." And then he goes, "That's not acceptable for me." He goes, "There will be no bad times." Everybody went into tears. I was like, oh, it was like so touching, and coming from him because he never says anything. Everybody was just like, "Oh my god!" And then it was my turn to do my vows, which I pulled out of my bra. um, and of course, I had to do it with humor and everything else. But it was really like so. Then after that, I had 3 dress changes.
I saw.
Yeah.
I thought
I own a dress shop. I had to do.
Yeah.
You know. And also, I learned that from China. In China, when they do weddings, they do 3, 4, 5 dress changes.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, that's cool. So I was like, I'm definitely doing that.
Now, did G change his?
No.
No.
I barely got him in the tux, girl. He's like, "I can take off the jacket. That's my change."
So I've asked about colorism in China and in Germany. How about Thailand?
Actually, Thailand is probably easier than even America because Thai people. I know you've noticed since you've lived in Thai, there's a lot of Thai women married to foreign men.
Mm-hmm.
Foreign men that are white, black, Indian,
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic, whatever, all the time. So the fact that we were interracial, an intercontinental, and international couple wasn't a big deal. But the funny thing is, when we went to the German embassy to get his permission to marry, the lady said, "I don't really know what to do. I've never married 2 foreigners before. It's always been a Thai."
Yeah, that was part of my questions. Is the the paperwork, the whole kind of.
One thing I give about America, we are very easy and simple. You go in there, you tell them, you fill out a form, and you pay, I think it was 3,000 baht, and you go up there, they raise your hand, you swear everything in this form is true, yes. Okay, here you go, bye. That was it. In German embassy, you've got to put all these papers. They wanted my mother's name, my father's name, my divorce papers, which, you know what? I had been divorced for so long, I forgot when I was divorced. I had to look it up. I had to go onto the court system online to find out when, at the court when we got divorced, get that date, and then put that date in the request for the document, my divorce paper copy, put it over here, and then request it. And then they wanted me to certify I am who I am. And then I had to go find a lawyer that would certify me as this is my signature because my passport was at the embassy because I was being renewed. And then I said, I have my pink card from China, my pink ID card. I have a picture of my passport. Could you please, it's me. Could you just verify this, my signature? And he goes, okay, I will. And then he goes, let me see the picture of the passport. I changed my hair a lot. He looked at it and he goes, your hair is different. I go, oh, honey, I changed my hair like my underwear. it's still me. And he's like, okay. So I was like, thank God. And then I got it all back from America within 2 weeks. The German stuff, all the stuff they needed, everything they wanted, it took 3 months to get everything. And then as we got everything, we had to go to the German embassy. They had to give us a paper. This paper had to be translated into Thai and German. And then we had to go to the Thai office of what, and then had to wait there, and they had to stamp and verify that it was right. Then we had to go, all this in Bangkok. Then we had to go to the marriage license place and wait and do all that to finally get the marriage license. The whole process took us about 6 months.
Wow.
And my husband is one of those people that's a stickler for rules and stuff, and said, we are not getting married until that is complete. And so the wedding date was looming in front of us, and we're waiting for this paperwork. And 3 weeks before the wedding, everything was done.
Oh.
It was stressful.
Oh,
then after you get married and you get the marriage license, you got to take that to the German embassy for them to certify it so it can be valid in Germany.
So, what kind of advice would you give someone, foreign couples, trying to get married in Thailand? Do you recommend getting an attorney, any kind of thing like that?
We used an agent because everything's in Thai, so you need to have an agent. But we did half of it by ourselves. All the paperwork gathered from Germany and all that stuff, all the forms we need, and to go to the U.S. embassy to get the permission to marry, and go to the German embassy to get the we did that all ourselves. Just the Thai stuff, we hired an agent to do the Thai stuff, which was almost done by that time. It depends on your country, because every country has a different requirement.
Okay, now I'm sure a lot of our listeners are going to want to know, how much does that cost? I mean, what was kind of the ballpark figure to...
The agent, or how much to do everything?
Yeah.
Well, of course, your embassies are free. You just go there and do all that. The paperwork is only to gather everything. And then the trip to Bangkok, which we have a car, so we drove there. The agent cost us, the Thai agent, to do the part we had them do with the translation and all that stuff. That cost us around 5,000 baht.
It's not bad, not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
So, what would you do differently now if you could look back on it and
not
change
get married?
anything?
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. No. What would I do differently? Maybe I would have let the agent do the whole thing.
Okay.
Because it was stressful. It was stressful because we were also in the process of planning the wedding. So it was quite stressful.
So you got all of that. You got your business going on, and I think I seem to remember like some kind of award ceremony or something.
Just recently I got awarded the Global Women Impact Award by Hot Magazine. I was selected by the Thai people as someone that's an influencer of women, and that I've contributed a lot internationally, locally, and throughout Thailand. Yeah, I do a lot of charity work. I am a member of the Hua Hin Women's Club that was created by the mayor here. I am one of the only foreigners in the group. We do a lot of things for children, orphans, and older people, and women in abusive relationships. Sometimes Thai women will marry a foreigner and the relationship is abusive, and they don't know what to do because they're married to a foreigner. And they're more likely to talk to a woman than to a man about this. So we mediate and take care of the woman and make sure everything is to get some help for them.
Now, how did you get involved in the charity group?
The Women's Club. I was invited to. They had a banquet, and one of my friends hosted the banquet. He was the place, and he goes, "Are you going to the banquet?" And I'm like, "What banquet?" They go, "The Women's Club. You should go. I'll take you. You come." I go, "They don't know me. I can't just." He goes, "Yeah. Just go." Thai people were like, "Yeah, let's go ahead." And then when I went there, he introduced me to the president of this club, and she took a liking to me and invited me to her home for dinner, and we all talked and everything, and it just went from there. And now I'm very active in the Hua Hin government. I'm very active in I went to the military base that's not far from here, Kaipuri, that way. I've met the generals. I've met the governor of Pre-Cup Curry Khan, the mayor of Cha'am, the mayor of Cranberry, Wahin. I'm very active. They all know who I am. So I'm very active in the community.
I can see you being very well known. So before we get into more into your business, I want to touch base on. You said you've had some cosmetic surgery.
Yes, not on my face. This is all natural, people.
Okay. Thailand is very big for surgery. What made you decide to do surgery? What was your first surgery?
Okay, I've only had one, one double surgery, and it was my first time ever. I've never had surgery before. But the weird thing about when you come to Thailand, they're very body conscious. They're very focused on their body, and maybe it's because I live in a beach town or whatever. But even Thai women, they're very focused on that, and so it's kind of like a peer pressure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're like, oh, if you don't like it, just fix it. You know, if you don't, you can just go there. It's really cheap. Just fix it. Or you want Botox, which I don't need anything like that. But oh yeah, you can just go down there. It's really cheap. So the first thing I ever did was some cosmetic dentistry. I had a gap, and I had some wisdom teeth that need to be pulled. And you know, here to get dentistry is really cheap. So I had gum surgery where I lengthened my teeth and cut my gums shorter, and I got veneers, and I got wisdom teeth pulled, some cavities filled, deep cleaning. All that all together would be approximately $2,000. And in America, that would be more than $2,000.
That is not even a crown and a root canal.
Yeah.
That is not even a crown and a root canal. I know because I paid $3,000 before I left the United States for that very thing.
Yep, it's expensive. But here, it's really reasonable. And you just pay cash, whatever.
Okay, so how did you go? Did you go about researching? Did you use a service? Because I know that there's a lot of services here.
You know, I've never been a person. Hey, I moved to China without knowing anybody. I've never been a person to depend on somebody else to tell me where to go. And because what one person may think is good may not be good for another person. Maybe I like it. I think their service is great. But maybe you go there and you're like, oh, they suck. You know. So I never listen to other people.
And how was your recovery?
Oh, that was really easy. It only took me. I did it in between going to Germany.
I remember you wearing your arm thing.
Oh, my arm surgery. For my arm surgery, what I did is, if you see here, you know those back in the South, the grandma arms that when you wave, they keep waving. Yeah. I didn't want that. I just felt that I couldn't wear sleeves. You know, I'm okay that I'm a big girl. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay is I'm a size smaller here, but I can't put on this because I can't put my arms in that.
Exactly.
So I wanted to just get rid of that. And so for that, I had a problem because a lot of people turn me down because my BMI is high. And it's a high risk. When you have a high BMI, there's a high risk that your skin can pop open, there can be infection, there can be all kinds of things that can happen to you. Okay? So I was actually not even thinking about it because I'd given up by that time. And then on Facebook, a thing popped up said plus size plastic surgery. I was like, whoa, they're calling my name. So I contacted them and I said, how much is it to do, arms or whatever? And they gave me a quote. And then I went there. They told we'll set up a free appointment to come in and talk to us. So on a Monday, my husband and I drove to Bangkok, Amara Clinic, Lipo Clinic, and we talked to the lady about it. They did a 360 BMI search of your entire body. People don't need to know that much information about their body. I could have done without that. But they did the whole thing. And then they brought in the doctor, and the doctor went through all these things and marked me up and everything and said, okay, we need to do this, and where, and the measuring and all this stuff. And then on Friday, I had the surgery. On Saturday, I spent the night in the clinic. The next day, Saturday afternoon, I went home.
Oh, okay. So we've touched on you moving back and forth, and your surgeries, your marriage. Now let's get back to your business.
Yes.
You've got some stuff coming up soon.
Yes.
So tell me about
I
this.
have something big coming up. Well, first of all, when I first opened my shop, it was March of last year. So this is my 1 year anniversary this month.
Congratulations.
And at that grand opening, I did a big fashion show in the middle of Blueport.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are like, "Oh, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me?" Well, it's in the middle of Blueport. It's in a mall.
Yeah.
So, and I brought in a Grammy-nominated singer. I brought in a violinist. I brought in all this stuff, and I used models that were normal people because I didn't want somebody going, "Oh, she's a model. Only she can wear those clothes."
Right.
No, I use natural people because not everybody is model size. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, and I use all different nationalities in my. Just call me the little Rihanna. And so this March is my 1 year anniversary, and we are going to have on March the 30th a big fashion show. And it's going to be at Anacedia Hotel on the beach. And I have international designer from America's Next Top Model, Bali, doing my final dress. And he will also have a clothing line in my shop.
And all this happens, give me date, time, and place.
March the 30th at 6 o'clock at Anacedia Hotel in Kautiao here in Hua Hin. And there's no fee to get in. It's free to get in, but you know, they have a la carte, so you can order your drinks or food or whatever. So you can have dinner and then the fashion show, and then you can take photos and everything with the international designer. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing.
Okay, so real quickly, I want you to just say the time, the date, so I can.
March 30th at 6 p.m. at Anacedia Hotel Beach Resort here in Hua Hin.
Okay, now if anybody's interested in your business, is there contact information or there?
Yes, actually, my shop ships globally around the world, and I have a website www.kelly-g.com. And if you sign up and subscribe, in your email every month you will get my newsletter. And in my newsletter, not only do we tell you the latest trends and fashion things, we also have a special section that is Kelly Girl of the Month. So if you buy a dress or have a dress from my shop or my website, you take a picture of yourself wherever, whatever, we will put it on Instagram and people will like it. If you get the most likes, you will win Kelly Girl of the Month. And you will get 500 baht coupon to shop in the shop, and your picture will be put on the website for the month on the homepage.
That is
so everybody will see you modeling. You will be a star, superstar.
Superstar. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today and being so gracious with Asian Info Channel 1. We will also be showing some of Kelly G's promotional materials. If you have any questions, her contact information will be listed below. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
I hope it was okay.
We won't know till we get ready to do production.